I'm from Denton, Texas. I played 4 years here at ISU and I loved every second of it. I went to nursing school and I'm a nurse at Portneuf Medical Center right now. Both of my parents play tennis as well in a small college in Iowa, so that's how I got into the sport. I have 2 older sisters who also play college tennis. The oldest one played at University of North Texas, which is a Division I school in my hometown, Denton, and then she's actually a tennis coach. And then my other sister played Division II tennis at Southern Arkansas University. I started picking up a racket as soon as I was like 3 years old, just because I'd always be at the tennis courts anyways and I'd watch my older sisters play. So I had a racket in my hand when I was 3 years old. And then I just grew up playing tennis with my sisters. I was always really tenacious and I'd always want to beat them, and we would just play at the parks, and I was super competitive. My older sister actually coached me for a little bit, and that was really fun. I think it was kind of harder because maybe I didn't listen to her as well as I would have listened to another coach, but it was definitely really fun. I grew up playing at recreationally, at parks, and then I wanted to start playing really competitively, and so there's a really good tennis academy in Texas called Brookhaven Country, it's a Brookhaven Country Club, so it's called Brookhaven Tennis Academy, and it is pretty expensive, but my sister actually coached there, and I got a full scholarship to train there for free, which was amazing. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to train there, so I'm very grateful for them. I started when I was, high school, so 14 years old, and then I ended up going to a different high school. My freshman year was at a public high school. I played on the tennis team. We were the first ones to make it to state in high school history, and to this day, no one has made it to state. And then the next year I decided to go to a different school. So I went to school from about 8 to 12, and then the rest of the day from 12 to 5 I played tennis 5 hours a day, and I really loved it. The reason I came to Idaho State was predominantly for the nursing program and for the tennis program. A lot of colleges I was speaking to that were Division I told me that they wouldn't accept me if I were doing nursing and tennis at the same time, just because they understood how time-consuming nursing was and that I would be missing a lot of practices. So that was very discouraging for me, but then I came across Idaho State and Gretchen Maloney, and when I talked to her, she was just so supportive. She was like, "That's awesome, you're going to be a nurse, let's do it." And so I came on an official visit here and loved Gretchen, loved the community here, loved the athletics program here, and I spoke with actually the nursing program themselves, and they were really supportive, and they said they had student athletes go through the nursing program before and that they could totally accommodate me. It was definitely difficult, but luckily I had one of my teammates was actually in the nursing program as well, so we kind of went through it together. We would definitely study on all the trips. We would take an exam right after a match. We would be trying to get a quiz done right before a match, and it was definitely difficult, but we got through it. I actually also worked while doing tennis and nursing school, so I'd work about part-time, 10-15 hours a week, and it was fun. I worked at the Pocatello Free Clinic, and they provide free health services for people who don't have health insurance and can't maybe have a lack of access to healthcare, and I loved every second of it. Through that, I want to become a family nurse practitioner for low-income populations and make sure that we take care of the people who can't access healthcare, because healthcare is really expensive in the United States, and I want to make sure that we take care of those vulnerable populations. And so I want to go to get my doctor in nursing practice and become a family nurse practitioner, and eventually hopefully open my own free clinic for low-income populations. And then eventually down the line I would also like to become a professor, kind of to honor my family name and also be a professor like my dad. Let's see, my father passed away when I was 9 years old, and he was a political science professor at University of North Texas, and through that we had our health insurance plan through the university. So when we lost that health insurance plan, my mom didn't have health insurance through her work because her work was really small. So then she had to get a private health insurance plan. Because of that, my health insurance plan was just so bad. I had it up till this last year, and they didn't cover basic prescriptions. They didn't even cover flu vaccinations. They want me to get the flu, I don't know. So I didn't like my health insurance plan, and I think because of that I saw the doctor a lot less than what maybe most people do. My dad was a tennis player too, and that day I was at the tennis courts, and my mom was there and one of my sisters was there. So I actually played a tennis match, and I was 9, and so I was playing this like 12-year-old cocky little boy, and I beat him 6-0, 6-0. I was like, yes, I beat him. So I was gonna go up, talk to my dad, and be like, oh, I beat this boy 6-0, 6-0, and I was so excited. But he was actually playing a tennis match at the time. And then he, all of a sudden I was watching him, and then he was on the ground, and then I just like remember my mom knew CPR, so she would perform CPR, and then my poor sister was on the court there too, like up close. I was kind of far away because everyone told me to stay in a building. I was watching from far away, so honestly, I like remember it, and I'm just like thankful I was there to kind of see the last moments. I don't really have any like post-traumatic stress or anything, so I'm really thankful for that. And when I was growing up, I think that I was very strong. It didn't really affect me as much as maybe it would have most kids, because I had all of my family's support, and I feel like I kind of put up almost a facade for my family. Since you're the youngest one in the family, I feel like people have to kind of look at you and like make sure that they're caring for you and that you're the one who's okay because you're the youngest. And so I definitely put up a facade and made sure that I was strong for my family. And then the first year when I came to ISU, it was kind of harder because I realized like, oh, I'm apart from my family, and I realized how much that maybe losing my dad had actually impacted my life. So I think that was the first time in my life where I realized it is a big deal. Like, I need to like be sad. It's okay to be sad. So he was one of the most amazing people I've ever known. But he was a political science professor at the University of North Texas, and he he would give lectures. He would travel the world to give lectures on basic human rights and peace studies. And so I think that's really relevant now, actually. So ever since I was young, my family just ingrained in me that everyone should be treated equally, and if someone is struggling, maybe financially or emotionally, or maybe they're being discriminated against, then definitely lend them a hand. My mom is like an amazing woman, and she's so strong, and she took care of me and my older 2 sisters in my life, and she provided me with everything I could have asked for and more. She would drive me to tennis, which my tennis academy was 30 minutes away from my house. She would drive me to tennis. I also played volleyball at the time, so she'd drive me to volleyball. I'd get home at 10 p.m. and then she'd wake up the next morning at 6 and drive me everywhere. She is the most amazing woman, and yeah, I'm so grateful for her and for her support. She works really hard. She works a lot of hours, and she's doing great, and she just takes care of my grandpa at home. Hangs out with him. I lived with my grandparents since I was in 7th grade. They were just a big part of my life. They were almost like my second parents. I think tennis is just, like playing tennis at ISU has been the best decision of my life, and I think it totally just changed my entire life. I know that if I didn't have a scholarship, I would probably want to start from square one and like go to community college, be able to afford that, and then go to maybe a 4-year university and finish my degree, and it would definitely be a lot more difficult. So all of my sisters got full rides, and my mom didn't have to worry about paying for us, which really made the biggest difference. And I think that's a lot of money. College is expensive, and gosh, I can't even tell you how grateful I am just to have gotten a scholarship. Every day I think about it. That's why I'm only a nurse right now, because of tennis.